The stars looked peaceful through the main window of the ship called Horizon's Edge. Captain Jake Morrison stood with his hands behind his back, watching the endless black space dotted with distant lights. He had been commanding this vessel for 3 years now, and he never got tired of this view. Behind him, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, checking systems and monitoring their course through the outer regions of human space. Jake was a tall man with short brown hair that was starting to show gray at the sides. He was 42 years old and had spent half his life in space. His face showed the calm expression of someone who had seen many things and rarely got surprised anymore. But today would test that calm in ways he could not yet imagine. "Captain, we're picking up something strange on the long-range scanners," said Lisa Hartley, his second in command. She was younger than Jake, only 35, with red hair tied back in a tight bun. Her green eyes were focused on the screen in front of her, and her fingers moved quickly across the controls. Jake walked over to her station and looked at the display. 3 large objects were moving toward them from the direction of an unexplored star system. They were big, much bigger than the Horizon's Edge, and they were moving fast. "How long until they reach us?" Jake asked, keeping his voice steady. "About 20 minutes at their current speed," Lisa replied. She looked up at him with concern in her eyes. "Captain, those ships are massive." "Each one is at least 3 times our size." Jake nodded slowly. "Send out a standard greeting message on all common frequencies. Let's see if they want to talk." The crew member at the communication station, a young woman named Kelly Davis, began transmitting. The bridge fell silent as everyone waited. Minutes passed with no response. The 3 ships kept coming, not slowing down, not changing course. "Still no reply, sir," Kelly said nervously. "Keep trying," Jake ordered. He turned to another crew member. "Ben, get down to engineering and make sure everything is running at peak efficiency. I have a feeling we might need full power soon." Ben Tucker, the chief engineer, was a broad-shouldered man with a friendly face and dark skin. He had been working on ships since he was 18, and there was nothing about the Horizon's Edge that he did not know. He nodded at the captain's order and headed quickly toward the door. "Amy, bring all defensive systems online, but keep weapons powered down," Jake said to his tactical officer. "I don't want to look aggressive, but I want us ready." Amy Rodriguez was a short woman with black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had served in Earth's defense forces before joining the exploration program. Her hands moved across her controls with practiced ease. "Defensive shields charging now, Captain. All systems responding normally." Jake watched the approaching ships on the main screen. They were getting closer now, and the computer was starting to get better readings on them. The designs were unlike anything in Earth's databases. The hulls were dark purple with strange angular shapes. Lights glowed along their surfaces in patterns that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. "Captain, I'm getting a transmission," Kelly said suddenly. "It's in a language the computer doesn't recognize, but the translation program is working on it." "Put it through," Jake said. A harsh, clicking voice filled the bridge. The computer's translation came a second later, speaking in a flat mechanical tone. "Primitive vessel. You are now in territory claimed by the Vikreen Empire. Your ship and crew are forfeit. Prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in destruction." The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. Jake kept his expression neutral, but his mind was racing. This was the scenario Earth had feared and prepared for since humans first left their solar system. "Hostile first contact, send a response," Jake said calmly. "Tell them we are from Earth on a peaceful mission. We did not know this area was claimed. We request the opportunity for diplomatic discussion." Kelly transmitted the message. Again they waited. This time the response came quickly. "Your ignorance is irrelevant. Your weapons are primitive. Your technology is inferior. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. You have 5 minutes to comply." Lisa stood up from her station and moved close to Jake. She spoke quietly so only he could hear. "Sir, should we run? We might be able to jump to faster than light before they can fire." Jake shook his head slightly. "They would catch us. Look at the size of those ships. Their engines must be powerful. And if we run, they'll know we're weak. They'll follow us maybe all the way back to Earth." "So what do we do?" Lisa asked. Jake looked at her and saw the trust in her eyes. She believed he would find a way out of this. All of them did. That was the weight of command. "We follow Protocol 7, he said quietly. Lisa's eyes widened slightly. Protocol 7 was not something they had ever expected to use. It was a plan that had been developed years ago by Earth's defense strategists. People who spent their lives thinking about worst-case scenarios. She nodded slowly. I'll inform the crew. Jake raised his voice so everyone on the bridge could hear. Listen carefully, everyone. We are initiating Protocol 7. You all know what that means. Stay calm, follow your training, and trust the plan. Kelly, send a message to those ships. Tell them we need 15 minutes to prepare our surrender. Tell them our crew needs time to accept the situation. Kelly's voice shook slightly as she sent the message, but she did it. The response came back almost immediately. You have 10 minutes. Any aggressive action will result in immediate destruction. Acknowledged, Jake said. He pressed a button on his chair that opened a ship-wide channel. Attention all crew. This is the captain. We have encountered a hostile alien force. We are initiating Protocol 7. All personnel move to your designated positions now. This is not a drill. Morrison out. Throughout the ship, 47 men and women began moving quickly but quietly. They had trained for this scenario many times but never thought it would actually happen. Some of them were scared. Some of them were excited. All of them trusted their captain. In the engineering section, Ben Tucker was already working. His team was making adjustments to the ship's systems, changes that would not show up on any external scans the aliens might be doing. Panels in the walls were being opened, revealing equipment that had been hidden there since the ship was built. On the bridge, Amy Rodriguez was preparing her station. Her screens looked normal, but she had activated several hidden programs. Her fingers trembled slightly with nervousness, but her training kept her focused. Chris Palmer, a thin man with glasses who everyone thought was just a civilian language expert, was at his station pretending to look worried. In reality, he was one of Earth's best computer specialists. He had spent the last few minutes analyzing the alien transmissions, looking for any weakness in their communication systems. He found several interesting things that might prove useful very soon. Jake watched the countdown timer. 8 minutes left. 7. 6. The alien ships were very close now, taking up positions around the horizon's edge like predators surrounding prey. He could see details on their hulls now. Weapon ports, docking bays, launch tubes for smaller fighter craft. Captain, they're launching shuttles, Amy reported. Looks like boarding parties. 3 shuttles, probably carrying 20 to 30 aliens total. Let them come, Jake said quietly. Is everyone in position? Lisa checked her screen. All crew reporting ready, sir. Protocol 7 is fully active. Jake nodded. He sat down in his command chair and took a deep breath. This was it. The moment that would determine not just the fate of his ship and crew, but possibly the fate of all humanity. If the aliens learned where Earth was, they might bring their whole empire down on the human homeworld. But if Protocol 7 worked the way it was supposed to, things would turn out very differently. The alien shuttles attached to the horizon's edge with heavy clanking sounds that echoed through the hull. Jake could hear them cutting through the airlocks. His crew stayed at their stations, looking calm even though their hearts were racing. They're inside, Lisa said softly. 3 entry points. Moving through the corridors toward the bridge. Jake stood up and straightened his uniform. Open the bridge doors. Let them come to us. Remember, everyone stay calm. Act defeated. Let them think they've won. The door slid open. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Then they appeared. The Vakreen were tall, at least 7 feet high, with dark purple skin covered in natural armor plates. They had 4 arms, 2 legs, and faces that looked almost insect-like with multiple eyes and sharp mandibles. They carried weapons that hummed with energy, pointing them at the human crew. Their leader stepped forward. He wore more elaborate armor than the others, with symbols etched into the metal. When he spoke, a device on his chest translated his clicking, hissing language into English. I am Commander Zathrak of the Vakreen Empire. This vessel is now property of the Empire. You will provide all information about your homeworld and your species. Those who cooperate will be allowed to live as servants. Those who resist will be eliminated as examples. Jake looked at the alien commander and forced himself to look frightened and defeated. Inside, though, he was thinking one thing over and over. You made a mistake coming here. You made a very big mistake, but he said nothing, not yet. The trap was not quite ready to spring. Commander Zathrak walked slowly around the bridge of the horizon's edge, his forearms gesturing dismissively at the equipment and crew. His multiple eyes studied everything with obvious contempt. Behind him, 6 Vakreen soldiers stood with their weapons raised, ready to fire at any sign of resistance. The humans remained at their stations, trying their best to look scared and helpless. "Primitive," Zathrak said, his translator device turning his clicking sounds into harsh words. "Your technology is at least 200 cycles behind ours. How did your species even achieve space travel with such basic systems?" Jake stood with his hands visible, showing he was not armed. "We did the best we could with what we had," he said, making his voice sound weak and defeated. "Please, there's no need for violence. We'll cooperate." Zathrak turned his large head toward Jake, studying the human captain with his cluster of dark eyes. "You are wise to submit, human. The Vakrine Empire has conquered 17 star systems. We have destroyed countless ships more advanced than yours. You cannot fight us. You cannot escape us. Your only choice is to serve us." Lisa stood near her station, her hands trembling slightly. But the trembling was not entirely from fear. Part of it was the effort of staying still when every instinct told her to act. She glanced quickly at Amy, who sat at the tactical station with her head down, appearing defeated. But Lisa knew Amy was watching everything through her peripheral vision, noting where each alien soldier stood and how they held their weapons. "I want all of your star charts," Zathrak demanded. "Show me the location of your homeworld and all of your colonies. Show me your military installations and defense platforms. Do this now, and I will tell my fleet commanders to make your deaths quick when the time comes." Jake felt a cold anger in his chest, but he kept it hidden behind a mask of fear. "We'll give you whatever you want. Just please don't hurt my crew. They're just scientists and engineers. They're not soldiers." Zathrak made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "Not soldiers? Even better. Weak civilians make excellent slaves. The strong ones die quickly, but the weak ones live long, miserable lives serving their betters." He pointed one of his forearms at the main computer console. "You female with red hair, access your navigation database. Show me everything." Lisa moved slowly to the console, her fingers hovering over the controls. "It will take a few minutes to compile all the data," she said. "Our systems are slow, as you said." "Then work faster," Zathrak snapped. "I am not patient with inferior beings." While Lisa pretended to work on the computer, Zathrak walked around the bridge again. He stopped at Ben Tucker's engineering station. Ben had come back to the bridge when the aliens boarded, as Protocol 7 required. Now he sat there looking at his screens with what appeared to be nervous energy. "What is your function on this vessel?" Zathrak asked him. "I'm the chief engineer," Ben replied, keeping his eyes down. "I maintain the ship's systems. Engines, life support, that kind of thing." Zathrak leaned closer, his mandibles clicking together. "Your engines are pathetically inefficient. Our smallest scout ships have more power than this entire vessel. It is amazing you humans managed to leave your planet at all." Ben said nothing. He had designed half of the hidden systems on this ship himself, systems that made the Horizon's Edge far more than it appeared to be. But he just nodded and looked ashamed, playing his part perfectly. Zathrak moved on to where Chris Palmer sat at the communications station. Chris looked like the most harmless person on the bridge. His glasses made him look bookish and weak. He kept adjusting them nervously, a gesture that made him seem even more helpless. "And you?" Zathrak asked. "What do you do?" "I'm a linguist," Chris said in a shaky voice. "I study languages and help translate alien communications. I never expected to actually meet hostile aliens. I thought first contact would be peaceful. I thought we would make friends with other species and learn from each other." Zathrak made that laughing sound again. "Friends? Learning together? Foolish creature, the universe does not work that way. The strong dominate. The weak serve or die. This is the natural order. Your species will learn this lesson, though it will cost you everything." While Zathrak was distracted, Chris's fingers moved almost invisibly across his keyboard. The movements looked like nervous fidgeting, but each key press was deliberate. He was executing commands that would not show up on any display the aliens could see. Commands that had been built into the ship's systems long before this journey began. Jake watched all of this carefully. Zathrak was doing exactly what they had hoped he would do. He was so confident in his superiority that he was not being careful. He was not scanning the ship thoroughly. He was not checking for hidden systems or weapons. He assumed that what he saw was all there was. It was the kind of arrogance that got people killed. "Commander," said one of the Vakrine soldiers in their own language. The translator device on Zathrak's chest did not translate this private communication, but Jake had been paying attention. The soldier sounded worried about something. Perhaps some of them were smarter than their commander. Zathrak responded harshly in the same language, clearly telling the soldier to be quiet and follow orders. The soldier's posture changed, becoming more submissive. Jake filed this information away. There were divisions in the alien boarding party. That might prove useful. The data is ready, Commander, Lisa said from the computer console. She had actually been stalling, making it take longer than necessary. Every minute that passed gave the hidden systems more time to complete their preparations. I'm displaying our star charts now. Zathrak moved to look at the screen. His multiple eyes scanned the star map that showed Earth's location, the coordinates of human colonies and various space stations. He studied it carefully, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. So few worlds, he observed. Your empire is tiny, pathetic. We will sweep through your space in a matter of months. Your planets will become Vakrine territory. Your people will serve us or be eliminated. Jake stepped forward slowly, still keeping his hands visible. Please, Commander, surely we can reach some kind of agreement. We could offer you resources, technology, scientific knowledge. There must be something we have that you want besides conquest. Zathrak turned to look at Jake with what might have been amusement in his alien features. You have nothing we want except your worlds. You are insects to us, less than insects. You are primitives who stumbled into space without understanding the dangers that waited here. He moved closer to Jake until they were face to face, the alien towering over the human. I will tell you what happens next, human captain. First, we will take all your data. Then my fleet will travel to your homeworld. We will destroy your orbital defenses and land our armies. Those who surrender immediately will become slaves. Those who fight will be exterminated. Your cities will burn. Your monuments will be torn down. In a generation, humans will forget they were ever free. They will only know service to the Vakrine. The bridge was silent. Every human there felt rage building inside them, but they held it in. This was not the time. Not yet. Kelly Davis, the young communications officer, spoke up with a trembling voice. How many of us will you allow to live? If we cooperate fully, if we help you, will you spare some of us? Zathrak turned his attention to her. Perhaps, if you are useful enough, if you entertain us with your desperation. But make no mistake, female, your species' time of independence is over. You had the misfortune to exist in a galaxy ruled by beings far superior to you. Your fate was sealed the moment you left your planet. Amy Rodriguez, still sitting at her tactical station, let her hand drop to her side where it could not be seen by the aliens. Her fingers found a small control panel built into the side of her chair. She pressed a sequence of buttons that had been practiced thousands of times in simulations. Nothing visible happened, but throughout the ship, systems began coming online. Systems the Vakrine had no idea existed. In the engineering section, hidden panels slid open in the walls. Weapon systems that had been disguised as structural supports began powering up. The ship's hull, which looked like simple metal plating, started rearranging itself in ways that should have been impossible. Zathrak was still talking, enjoying his moment of triumph. I have conquered 43 ships in my career. I have personally executed 18 commanders who thought they could resist the Vakrine. You, human captain, will be number 19. But first you will watch as I transmit your star charts to my fleet. You will know that you are the one who doomed your entire species. He moved to the communications panel and pushed Kelly aside roughly. She stumbled and caught herself on a nearby console. Zathrak began working the controls, preparing to send the data to his ships. But as he worked, Chris Palmer smiled. It was a tiny smile, barely visible and gone in an instant. But it was there, because Zathrak was using the communication system. He was connecting with his fleet. And Chris had been waiting for exactly this moment. The Vakrine commander did not notice the tiny data packet that attached itself to his transmission. It was invisible, buried in layers of code that looked like normal communication protocols. It flowed from the horizon's edge into the Vakrine communication network, like a parasite entering a host. Darkness filled the bridge for exactly 3 seconds. In that darkness, the humans moved with practiced precision. They had trained for this moment in simulations hundreds of times. Every crew member knew exactly where to go and what to do when Protocol 7 activated. When the lights came back on, everything had changed. Emergency lighting bathed the bridge in red. Jake Morrison now held a weapon that had been hidden in a compartment under his command chair. Lisa Hartley had moved to a different position and also held a weapon. Amy Rodriguez stood at her tactical station. But her screen now showed completely different displays. Systems that had been hidden were now visible and active. But the biggest change was what happened to the Vakreen boarding party. Their weapons were dead. The energy cells that powered them had been drained by an electromagnetic pulse that Chris Palmer had triggered the moment Jake gave the signal. The pulse had been precisely calibrated to affect Vakreen technology, while leaving human systems untouched. It was a trick that Earth's scientists had developed years ago, based on the possibility that they might face technologically advanced enemies. The Vakreen soldiers grabbed at their weapons, trying to make them work. Zathrak himself pulled a backup weapon from his belt, but it sparked and died before he could fire it. The aliens looked at each other in confusion and growing fear. "What have you done?" Zathrak demanded, his translator still working since it ran on a different power system. "What is this?" Jake kept his weapon trained on the alien commander. His voice was calm but hard. "This is called a trap, Zathrak. You walked right into it. You were so confident that we were primitive and helpless that you never thought to scan our ship properly. You never considered that we might be ready for hostile first contact." Lisa moved to her console and pressed several buttons. Throughout the ship, hidden panels in the walls began opening. What the Vakreen had thought was a simple exploration vessel was revealing its true nature. The Horizon's Edge was not just a science ship. It was a Trojan Horse-class vessel, one of 12 that Earth had built specifically for this scenario. Ships that looked harmless but were actually packed with military technology. "Seal all corridors where Vakreen soldiers are located," Jake ordered. "Contain them." Amy's fingers flew across her controls. "Sealing now, Captain. All 3 boarding parties are locked in their current locations. Life support is active, but they cannot move through the ship." Zathrak took a step toward Jake, his forearms spread in a threatening gesture. But Ben Tucker had moved behind the alien commander during the darkness. Now Ben pressed a device against the back of Zathrak's armor. A blue energy field wrapped around the Vakreen, freezing him in place. He could still move his eyes and speak, but his body was held immobile by the stasis field. "That's better," Jake said. "Now you're going to watch something interesting, Commander. You're going to see what happens when you underestimate humans." On the main screen, the view changed to show the exterior of the ship. The 3 massive Vakreen warships were still out there, surrounding the Horizon's Edge. But as everyone watched, the hull of the human ship began to transform. Sections slid apart, revealing hidden weapon batteries. What had looked like simple engine pods rotated to show missile launchers. The communications array extended and reconfigured into an advanced targeting system. "Target all 3 Vakreen vessels," Jake commanded. "Weapons free." Amy smiled as her fingers danced across her console. "Targeting complete. All weapons locked and ready." But Jake did not give the order to fire yet. There was something else that needed to happen first. Something more important than destroying these 3 ships. Chris Palmer spoke up from his station. His voice was different now. Gone was the nervous linguist act. Now he sounded confident and focused. "Captain, the virus has successfully penetrated all 3 Vakreen ships. I have complete access to their systems, downloading their databases now. Fleet positions, command codes, star charts, weapon specifications, everything." Zathrak's multiple eyes went wide with horror. "No, that is impossible. Our security systems are the most advanced in this sector of space. You cannot breach them." Chris turned to look at the frozen alien commander. He still wore his glasses, but now he looked completely different. Dangerous, competent. "Your security systems are advanced, that's true. But they're also arrogant. They're designed to stop sophisticated attacks from other advanced species. They never expected something as simple and direct as what I did. When you connected to our communication system to transmit our star charts, you opened a door. My virus walked right through it, pretending to be a normal data packet. By the time your systems realized what was happening, it was already too late. The virus had replicated itself throughout your entire network." Lisa checked her own displays. "Chris, are you seeing what I'm seeing? This database has coordinates for 73 Vakreen military installations, including their home world. It has fleet deployment schedules, defense platform locations, encrypted communication protocols. This is everything. Copy all of it," Jake ordered. "Multiple redundancies. I want backups of backups. This information is too valuable to risk losing." On the main screen, the 3 Vakreen warships suddenly went dark. Their lights flickered and died. Their engines shut down. They hung in space like dead metal, powerless and helpless. "What did you do to my fleet?" Zathrak demanded, struggling against the stasis field that held him. Amy answered him, her voice cold. We killed them. Well, their systems anyway. The crews are still alive, but their ships are completely dead. Weapons offline, engines offline. Life support running on emergency batteries. Communications destroyed. They can't fight, they can't run, and they can't call for help. Ben moved to stand in front of Zathrak. Your ships are built well, Commander. Strong armor, powerful weapons. But there's a weakness in your power distribution system. A flaw in how your main reactors connect to your other systems. We found it in the technical data that your own computers gave us. One command and the whole thing crashes irreversibly. Those ships out there are now nothing but expensive debris. Zathrak stared at the darkened warships on the screen. His confidence was completely gone, replaced by disbelief and fear. This is not possible. You are primitives. Your technology is inferior. I saw your systems. They are crude and simple. Jake stepped closer to the alien. No, Zathrak. You saw what we wanted you to see. Every system on this ship has two versions. The one you saw was the fake one. Basic, simple, primitive, just like you expected. But underneath, hidden where your scans couldn't detect them, are our real systems. Advanced, sophisticated, deadly. Kelly Davis, who had been quiet during all of this, now spoke up. Her voice was no longer trembling. Earth strategists spent decades preparing for hostile first contact. They studied every possible scenario. They realized that if we met an aggressive species, they would probably be more advanced than us. So we developed a strategy. Make ourselves look weak. Make our ships look primitive. Let the enemy think they had an easy target. Then when they got close, when they let their guard down, we would strike. Lisa nodded. The Horizon's Edge and her sister ships were built to be traps. We travel alone, looking vulnerable. When hostile aliens find us, they see exactly what they expect to see. A weak, helpless prey. By the time they realize the truth, it's too late. Chris completed his data download and looked up at Jake. Captain, I've got everything. The entire Vakrine military database is now in our possession. I'm also seeing something interesting. There are 17 conquered species in their database. Species they've enslaved. And I bet those species would love to know that the Vakrine military codes are compromised. Jake nodded slowly, a plan forming in his mind. Prepare message drones. We're going to send copies of this data to every species the Vakrine have conquered. Let them know that their oppressors are vulnerable now. Let them know that the great Vakrine Empire is not as strong as it pretends to be. You cannot do this, Zathrak said, his voice desperate now. You will start a war. My empire will crush you. We will bring 1,000 ships to your homeworld. We will burn your planet until nothing remains. Jake looked at him with cold eyes. No, Zathrak. You won't. Because by the time you get back to your empire to warn them, 17 species will be in open rebellion. Your military will be too busy trying to hold on to what they have to worry about attacking Earth. And even if they try, we'll be ready. We'll share this data with every species we meet. We'll form alliances. We'll build defenses. And if the Vakrine Empire does come for us, you'll find out just how dangerous humans can be when we're not pretending to be helpless. Amy launched the message drones. They shot out from the Horizon's Edge in 17 different directions, each one heading toward a different Vakrine-controlled star system. Each one carried the complete military database and a simple message. You are not alone. The Empire can be defeated. Resist. Ben released the stasis field holding Zathrak, but before the alien could move, 4 human security officers surrounded him with weapons drawn. They had come from other parts of the ship where they had been waiting for this moment. Take him and his soldiers to the cargo bay, Jake ordered. Secure them there. They're prisoners now. Commander Zathrak sat in the cargo bay of the Horizon's Edge with his soldiers around him. They were still alive, still breathing, but they were prisoners in a place they had thought would be their easy conquest. The cargo bay was cold and dimly lit. Human guards stood at the door with weapons ready. The Vakrine had been stripped of their armor and equipment. They wore only simple clothing now, and they looked smaller without their impressive military gear. Zathrak stared at the metal floor, his multiple eyes seeing nothing. His mind was racing, trying to understand how everything had gone so wrong. He had been a commander for 30 cycles. He had conquered many ships and defeated many enemies. He had never failed, never, and now, in less than an hour, he had lost 3 warships, 28 soldiers, and possibly doomed his entire empire. One of his soldiers, a younger warrior named Vekran, moved closer to him. Commander, what will happen to us? Zathrak did not answer immediately. What could he say? He had no idea what these humans would do. He had studied 17 conquered species, and none of them had ever turned the tables on the Vakreen like this. This situation was completely new, and that terrified him. The door to the cargo bay opened. Captain Jake Morrison entered, followed by Lisa Hartley and Chris Palmer. Jake carried a data pad in his hand. He walked to where Zathrak sat and stood looking down at the alien commander. "We need to talk, Zathrak," Jake said calmly. Zathrak looked up at him with hateful eyes. "What more can you take from us? You have already destroyed everything." Jake sat down on a cargo container so he was closer to eye level with the alien. "I want you to understand something. I want you to truly comprehend what happened here today. Not just for your sake, but because you're going to carry a message back to your empire." Zathrak's mandibles clicked in confusion. "You are letting us go?" "Eventually," Jake said. "But first you need to understand what you did, what you lost, and what it means for your people." Lisa activated a holographic display in the center of the cargo bay. It showed the 3 Vakreen warships still dead in space. "Your ships are completely destroyed from a functional standpoint. The virus that Chris created did not just shut them down. It corrupted their core systems. Even if you could restore power, the navigation computers are scrambled. The weapons targeting systems are filled with false data. The communication arrays are broadcasting random noise. Those ships will never fly again without a complete rebuild at a major shipyard." Zathrak felt his heart sink. 3 battlecruisers gone. The cost to replace them would be enormous. Worse than the cost in resources was the cost in reputation. He had lost 3 warships to a single small vessel. The shame would follow him forever if he lived long enough to experience it. Chris stepped forward, adjusting his glasses. "But the ships are the least of your problems, Commander. Do you want to know what else the virus did? It copied everything. Every file, every database, every scrap of information in your computer systems. Military deployments, defense codes, fleet positions, supply routes, command structures, secret research projects, diplomatic communications, everything." The color drained from Zathrak's purple skin. "No, that information is protected by the highest levels of security. It would take years to break those encryptions." Chris smiled. "It would take years if we had to break them. But we didn't have to break them, Zathrak. Your computers gave us the decryption keys willingly. The virus made your systems think it was an authorized user. A high-ranking admiral, actually. Your own security systems helped us steal your secrets." Jake pulled up another display on the hologram. It showed a star map with dozens of marked locations. "These are Vakreen military bases, shipyards, weapon depots, research stations, training facilities. We know where they all are now. We know how many ships are at each location. We know what their defenses are. We could sell this information to any species that wants revenge on the Vakreen Empire. Imagine what your enemies could do with this knowledge." Zathrak stood up suddenly, his forearms clenched into fists. "You would not dare. My empire would hunt you to extinction. We would make your species suffer for 1,000 cycles." Lisa laughed, but it was not a friendly sound. "Sit down, Commander. You're in no position to make threats. Besides, we already sent that information out. 17 message drones are heading to 17 different star systems right now. The species you conquered are about to learn everything about your military. They'll know how weak you really are. They'll know where to strike. They'll know how to fight back." Zathrak sat back down, his legs suddenly weak. 17 species, the Graknor, the Melnari, the Torvik Collective, all of them had been conquered and oppressed by the Vakreen. All of them had reason to hate the Empire, and now they would have the tools to rebel. "You have started a war," Zathrak said quietly. "A war that will consume millions of lives." Jake's expression hardened. "No, Zathrak. Your empire started those wars when it decided to conquer peaceful species. We're just giving those species a chance to fight back. A fair chance. Something you never gave them." Ben Tucker entered the cargo bay carrying a tray with food and water. He set it down near the Vakreen prisoners. "You should eat. You're going to be here for a while." Vekrin, the young soldier, looked at the food suspiciously. "Is it poisoned?" Ben shook his head. "If we wanted you dead, you would be dead already. The food is safe. We're not monsters, unlike some species I could mention." Jake stood up and began pacing. "Let me explain what happens next, Zathrak. We're going to keep you here for 72 hours. During that time, those message drones will reach their destinations. The conquered species will receive the information and begin planning their rebellions. After 72 hours, we're going to repair one of your shuttles and send you back to your empire. You and all your soldiers will go home. Zathrak looked up in surprise. You are releasing us? Why? Because you need to deliver a message, Lisa said. You need to tell your empire what happened here. You need to tell them that humans are not prey. We're not victims. We're not going to be easy targets. You need to tell them that if they come to Earth looking for conquest, they will find a fight they are not prepared for. Chris added, you also need to tell them that we now know everything about them. We know their weaknesses. We know their fears. And we're sharing that information with everyone who has a grudge against the Vakreen. Your empire is about to face challenges from every direction. They won't have time or resources to worry about Earth. Zathrak felt a deep shame settling over him. He had failed in the worst possible way. He had not just lost a battle. He had compromised the security of his entire civilization. He had turned a simple conquest into a catastrophic intelligence breach. History would remember him, but not in the way he had hoped. Why did you make your ship look so weak? Zathrak asked. Why hide your true capabilities? Jake sat down again, his expression thoughtful. Because humans learned something important in our history, Zathrak. We learned that the universe is dangerous. When we started exploring space, we knew we might meet hostile aliens, species like yours. So we prepared. We built ships that looked harmless but could defend themselves. We developed protocols for first contact scenarios. We made plans for every possibility, including the worst ones. You planned for us, Zathrak said. You planned for species like the Vakreen. Yes, Jake confirmed. We planned for arrogant predators who would see us as easy prey. We knew that if we looked weak, aggressive species would approach confidently. They would get close. They would let their guard down. And then we could turn the tables. Protocol 7 was designed specifically for encounters like this one. Lisa crossed her arms. You made a tactical error, Zathrak. You assumed that because our technology looked primitive, we were primitive. You judged us by appearance instead of capability. You never considered that we might be smart enough to hide our strengths. That was your mistake. A fatal mistake. The cargo bay fell silent for a moment. Zathrak thought about all the ships he had conquered. All the species he had defeated. Had any of them been hiding capabilities too? Had he just been lucky that none of them had thought to set a trap like this? What do you want from us? Zathrak finally asked. What does Earth want from the Vakreen Empire? Jake leaned forward. We want you to leave us alone. We want you to stay in your territory and fix the problems we just created for you. We want you to spend your time dealing with rebellions and internal issues instead of looking for new species to conquer. Most importantly, we want you to spread the word. Tell other aggressive species what happened here. Tell them that humans are not targets. We're allies to those who come in peace and nightmares to those who come with hostile intent. Chris pulled up another display, this one showing communication logs. We've also been monitoring the distress signals from your 3 dead ships. We've seen the messages they tried to send before their systems crashed completely. Do you know what we found? Panic, confusion, fear. Your crews had no idea what was happening to them. They thought they were invincible, and then suddenly they were helpless. That fear, Zathrak, is going to spread. When you get back to your empire, people will hear about this. They'll hear about the human ship that destroyed 3. 72 hours passed slowly on the horizon's edge. The human crew worked around the clock, analyzing the captured Vakreen data, repairing one of the alien shuttles, and monitoring signals from across the region. The cargo bay remained under heavy guard, but the Vakreen prisoners were treated well. They received food, water, and medical attention. Jake had made it clear that they would not stoop to cruelty, even against an enemy that had shown no such mercy to others. On the 3rd day, Jake entered the cargo bay one final time. Zathrak and his soldiers were ready, wearing their armor again. The armor had been cleaned and repaired by Ben Tucker's engineering team. Their weapons, however, remained locked in the ship's armory. They would not get those back. It's time, Jake said simply. The shuttle is ready. You can go home. Zathrak stood and faced the human captain. The alien looked different now. The arrogance was gone. His posture was no longer proud and threatening. He looked tired and defeated. But there was also something else in his eyes. Respect, perhaps, or maybe just the recognition of meeting an equal. Before we leave, I must ask you something, Zathrak said. The 17 species you sent messages to, have any responded? Lisa Hartley was standing near the door. She smiled slightly. All of them. Every single one. Some were confused at first. They thought it was a trick. But once they verified the data was real, the responses started coming in. The Gragnor have already attacked 3 Vakrian outposts in their system. The Melnari are preparing a full-scale uprising. The Torvik Collective has formed an alliance with 2 other conquered species. Your empire is about to face the biggest crisis in its history. Zathrak's mandibles clicked softly. It was a sound of resignation. My people will blame me for this. They will say I was incompetent, that I failed the empire. They would be right, Jake said bluntly. You did fail, but not because you were incompetent in battle. You failed because you came here with the wrong mindset. You treated us like animals instead of intelligent beings. You assumed conquest was your right instead of recognizing that every species has the right to exist freely. You failed because you represented everything wrong with your empire's philosophy. Ben Tucker entered the cargo bay, followed by 2 crew members carrying supplies. We're loading your shuttle with food, water, and medical supplies. Enough to get you back to the nearest Vakrian outpost. We're also giving you basic navigational data, so you won't get lost. But that's all. No weapons. No advanced technology. You'll be defenseless on the journey home. Consider it a small taste of how the species you conquered have felt. Vekrin, the young Vakrian soldier, spoke up. Will your people come after us? Will you invade our worlds as we plan to invade yours? Amy Rodriguez answered from where she stood near the door. No, that's the difference between humans and Vakrin. We don't conquer. We don't enslave. We defend ourselves and help others who are oppressed. But we don't seek empire. We seek coexistence. Chris Palmer stepped forward holding a data device. This contains a message for your leadership. It outlines terms for peace between Earth and the Vakrian Empire. The terms are simple. Stay in your territory. Free the species you've conquered. Never approach human space with hostile intent. Follow these terms and we can eventually establish diplomatic relations. Break them, and you'll find out what happens when humanity really goes to war. Zathrak took the device with one of his 4 hands. Why give us a chance for peace? Why not destroy us while we are weak? Jake walked closer to the alien commander. Because we're not like you, Zathrak. We don't destroy civilizations just because we can. We believe in giving chances. Even to enemies, even to species that threatened us. But make no mistake, this is the only chance you'll get. If the Vakrian Empire refuses these terms, if you come after Earth or our allies, we won't hold back next time. This was a warning. Next time would be war. The group walked through the corridors of the horizon's edge toward the docking bay where the repaired shuttle waited. As they walked, Zathrak looked at the ship with new eyes. He saw the hidden panels where weapons had emerged. He noticed the sophisticated sensors disguised as simple equipment. He understood now that every part of this ship had been designed with deception in mind. It was brilliant and terrifying in equal measure. At the docking bay, the Vakrian prisoners boarded their shuttle. Zathrak was the last to enter. He paused at the doorway and turned back to face Jake and his crew. You asked earlier why we tried to conquer you, Zathrak said. The answer is simple. In this galaxy there are predators and prey. We believed we were predators and we believed you were prey. But we were wrong. You are not prey. You are something else, something we have never encountered before. What's that? Lisa asked. Zathrak's multiple eyes focused on her. You are trap makers. You are hunters who pretend to be prey. You let predators come to you and then you destroy them. This is a strategy we never imagined. It is effective. It is frightening. Your species will either change how this galaxy works or you will die trying. I do not know which will happen. But I do know that the Vakrian Empire will remember this day forever. Jake nodded slowly. Good, remember it well. And tell your people what you learned here. Tell them that humanity will not be conquered. Tell them that we're ready for anything. Tell them that if they want to survive, they need to change their ways. The age of easy conquest is over. Zathrak entered the shuttle without another word. The door sealed behind him. The horizon's edge released the small craft and it drifted away into space. The crew watched on the monitors as the shuttle's engines came online, and it began its long journey back to Vakrian space. Kelly Davis, the communications officer, was tracking the shuttle's departure. They're really leaving. It's over. No, Jake said quietly. It's not over. It's just beginning. The bridge crew gathered for a final meeting. They sat around the conference table exhausted but satisfied. 3 days of constant work had taken its toll, but they had accomplished something incredible. Let's review what we know, Jake said, pulling up data displays. The Vakreen database has given us information about 47 different alien species. 19 of them are spacefaring civilizations. 8 are potentially friendly. 12 are unknown. 7 are likely hostile. This is the most comprehensive intelligence about alien life that humanity has ever had, Chris added. I've been analyzing their technology. The Vakreen are advanced but not overwhelmingly so. We can compete with them, especially now that we understand their systems. More importantly, we know their weaknesses. Every ship design, every weapon type, every defensive system. We can share this with Earth's defense forces. Lisa looked worried. But we've also painted a target on humanity's back. The Vakreen know where Earth is now. Other species will hear about what happened here. Some will be curious. Some will be afraid. Some might be hostile. We've announced ourselves to the galaxy in a big way. Ben shook his head. We've announced ourselves as a species that fights smart, not just hard. We've shown that humanity doesn't rely on having the biggest guns or the fastest ships. We rely on planning, strategy, and intelligence. Species that hear about this will think twice before attacking us. They'll wonder what other tricks we have ready. Amy pulled up a tactical display. The message drones have all been received. The rebellions are starting. The Vakreen Empire is going to be dealing with internal problems for years, maybe decades. They won't have resources to spare for revenge against Earth. By the time they stabilize, we'll have formed alliances with other species. We'll be too strong to attack easily. Jake stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. What we did here will be studied by every military academy on Earth. Protocol 7 worked better than anyone hoped. But more than that, we've established a principle. Humanity doesn't start fights, but we end them. We don't conquer, but we won't be conquered. We offer peace to those who come peacefully, and we offer hell to those who come with hostile intentions. Do you think other species will test us? Kelly asked. Will they try to see if we're really as dangerous as Zathrak will claim? Probably, Lisa said. Some species will think he's exaggerating. Some will think we got lucky. Some will want to prove they're stronger than the Vakreen. We need to be ready. We need more Trojan horse ships. We need better protocols. We need to be prepared for everything. Chris smiled. The good news is that we have a huge head start now. The Vakreen database includes information about other aggressive species. We can analyze their technology, study their tactics, and prepare counters before we even meet them. We'll be ready. Ben raised a concern. But we also need to be careful. If we become too focused on military preparation, we might start looking like the enemy. We need to balance defense with diplomacy. We need to make friends, not just defeat enemies. Jake turned back to face his crew. You're all right. This is just the beginning of a long journey. Humanity has stepped onto the galactic stage and there's no going back. We'll face challenges. We'll make mistakes. But we'll face them together, as a species that refuses to give up or give in. He activated the ship's communication system. This is Captain Jake Morrison to all crew. Excellent work over the past 3 days. You've all performed beyond expectations. Protocol 7 is officially a success.